Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Shakur Stevenson has apparently moved on from Eddie Hearn and is now in a promotional deal with none other than LOU DiBELLA. He has been hired reportedly for a flat fee, which is somewhere in the middle seven figures. $5 million. Okay, decent money, not bad. Wouldn't mind it myself. But we have to look at the fact that Eddie Hearn and Shakur, they only had one fight together. Originally, it was a two-fight deal. The fight was against Josh Padley, a late substitute. Shakur got the job done. It was over in Riyadh. He got well paid for it, no doubt. Excuse me. And apparently, from what I'm reading, the two-fight deal had an opt-out clause for either party after the first fight. So if Hearn had decided, I'm not that keen on Shakur, after all, I won't pick up the second fight, he could have done that, and Shakur has actually done that. So if it was an even contract, both fighter and promoter with the same leverage, then yeah, it's up to him, isn't it? I mean, I don't know about Shakur. I mean, you've got to put it this way, all right? Shakur Stevenson's a very, very talented fighter. 23 wins, no draws, no defeats, 11 KOs, three-weight world champ. But he is not he's not someone whose entertainment value or lack thereof warrants big purses. Economically, he's just not a very interesting proposition. And to me, when Hearn said, oh, you know, it's a two-fight deal, I thought, well, you're going to need more time than that. You're going to need more than two fights to build up his, and again, I hate this word, but I have to use it, brand. So it may be that Hearn is probably thinking, no great loss, you know, let him go over back to America. Maybe he feels more comfortable being promoted in America. He has a fight coming up against William Zepeda. And that's a very winnable fight for him because Zepeda has not looked brilliant in his last two fights. The two fights were against, you know, the former super featherweight champion. What was the guy's name? You know the guy I mean. Fought his heart out. I can't remember his bloody name now. Tevin Farmer. I knew it would come to me. Sorry. Premature senior moment. Yeah, Tevin Farmer. He had two fights with Tevin Farmer. And Farmer, you know, he lacked the size, I think, against Zepeda. Zepeda's a big guy at lightweight. Farmer, former super featherweight champ, coming up. But Farmer still gave him plenty to think about in those two decision losses. And in fact, he claims, well, I won both those fights. The first one, I think you can definitely make a case for him winning. Second fight, he got back into the fight. But what was striking about Farmer was the sheer resiliency of the guy. He took some hellacious body punches. He shipped big punishment to the head and body and was still there at the end. I mean, cannot knock Farmer's resolve and durability. Incredible engine too. But against Shakur, who has, you know, speed, more power than Farmer, I would probably say so, although he's not a one-punch hitter. But he is small. He's got a small guy. He's coming up, you know, he came up from featherweight originally. So Zepeda will have that on him. But Zepeda, who had built his resume on, you know, lots and lots of punches, firing salvos of punches like they're going out of fashion, constant controlled pressure, constantly making the opponent throw punches, move, you know, think, mental pressure as well as the physical pressure. And Zepeda also quite heavy-handed. He couldn't get rid of Farmer, so he might ask questions of Shakur. But let's say that Shakur does beat him, but doesn't look great doing it, doesn't look entertaining doing it, doesn't look... he doesn't look like his status suggests he should, because Shakur is, certainly in America, highly thought of, and he walks around like he is one of boxing's, you know, premier names. But that doesn't, just because it's kind of like the tank thing, you know, it's got to translate into money. It's got to translate into economics. And is he a hype job? I don't like the phrase, but I think you can be a very good fighter, but also be overrated. I think that's true of Gervonta Davis. I think it's true of Shakur too. But whatever country you go to, you get fighters who are hyped up to a certain degree. We do in the UK, of course. You do in America, you do in Australia. You know, it's inevitable. People are going to sing the praises of their personal favourites. But I don't know. I don't see him. The bottom line is I don't see him being entertaining, Shakur. I find his fights quite dull. The one against Padley was probably a bit more entertaining, but then that was probably more down to Padley and the fact that he was this sort of Cinderella man who'd you know, come in from nowhere from at the 11th hour, you know, electrician 1 minute, fighting on a Riyadh card the next, and of course he ended up with a Matchroom contract out of that. So he was definitely the man that made that February fight with Shakur a little more interesting than perhaps people would have thought it was. So I don't think Hearn is going to be that worried about losing, if you can say that he's lost Shakur Stevenson. And if Stevenson's getting paid, you know, $5 million or maybe even more dollars, then you can't blame him for saying, "Oh, I'll have that." I doubt whether Hearn could have matched it. And the fight with Zepeda is going to be a good one. I think it will be intriguing because you've got two very contrasted styles, and there are question marks over Zepeda, but to some degree there are question marks over Shakur. He's never had his back to the wall. He's never been battered. He's never had to dig deep. I mean, one of the reports I read about the Padley fight for Shakur is that there was a possibility he would have been facing Javier Herrera instead. That was on that February the 22nd card. And instead he ended up with Padley. So Hearn would probably say, well, I gave him a kind of an easier fight for a good wage, and now he's jumping ship. All right, off you go then. Yeah. Well, I also read somewhere that I think Shakur is managed by James Prince, is he? Who, from what I've read, is quite a shady guy. And that DiBELLA has been hired for the promotional role. I don't know whether this has got something to do with circumventing the Ali Act or whatever, but you might know more about that than I do. But yeah, what do you think? What do you think of Shakur? Are you sold on him? Because I think he's talented, but I kind of respect his talent more than I actually enjoy watching him, if you know what I mean. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. And if you want to make throw a few opinions into the pot about the Zepeda fight, do so now. I'm not going to make a prediction yet, but I am curious about that fight. I think that's a good little matchup because of the contrasting styles. Anyway, comments below, as always. Please like the video if you liked it. Hit the like button and also hit the subscribe button and continue growing the channel. Thank you very much. Spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing, and bye for now.